Yo, what's good, Ninja? OJ here, and welcome to another video. Today, we've got some awesome topics to go over, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we are starting off with the newly announced Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. This game was announced at Nintendo's big Nintendo Direct presentation, and I've said this before, but if you don't know, I'm not the biggest Luigi's Mansion fan, but I've played and beat every single one of the Luigi's Mansion's games. Now, here's the thing about this title, guys. We haven't seen Luigi's Mansion on a home console or anything that's considered a home console for Nintendo since the GameCube, so it skipped the Wii, it skipped the Wii U, and now we're back with the Nintendo Switch with Luigi's Mansion. And basing it off of what they've shown off, these brand new screenshots that you guys are seeing, it definitely looks like next level games will be heading up development on this one. And right now at this point, some people have said that the game looks kind of rough, or they're excited about it, they think it looks good. And let me tell you guys something right now, especially with next level games and with Nintendo in general, usually when they first show off a game, it doesn't look as good as it will end up looking at the end. The only time that I know that games kind of didn't do that, maybe at least with some point, was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You can argue about that one. You can argue with Xenoblade Chronicles X, but if you look at Super Mario Odyssey, if you look at New Super Mario Bros, you look at most of their games that they put out, it always looks better once they release the game, where there's like no doubt. Super Mario 3D World was one of those games that got a lot more polish. So I think that the fact that it looks as good as it does right now at this point is really good for the future, because I think it's even going to look better once they do drop it in 2019. But let's talk about this just a little bit, because there was a little bit of controversy with Luigi's Mansion, the franchise, and them bringing the game to Nintendo 3DS. And now that we have an official confirmation of Luigi's Mansion 3, I kind of wanted to talk about that just a little bit more. So I think that Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo 3DS, bringing that back, was essentially just to get some content out on the 3DS quick and cheap. One of the things that we do know about Luigi's Mansion on Nintendo 3DS is that it's using the Dark Moon engine. Obviously, it's using what they already had with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and they kind of just added in or just bolted on that multiplayer. But it's less than what they did with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, because that game had 4 players online co-op with Luigi's Mansion and like a little bit of like a competitive modes and stuff like that. So Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon actually did more with the multiplayer than this Luigi's Mansion did, but they're adding this in. The original Luigi's Mansion didn't have it, so I can understand from that standpoint. So I think this was just a quick, easy, cheap type of port just to get some more content on the 3DS, because it's still selling. I don't think that there was really any opportunity, or Nintendo went into a room and said, hey, we're going to do Luigi's Mansion on the Switch, or we're going to do Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo 3DS. Which one with the remake? I think they just said, hey, let's just get something out on there on the Nintendo 3DS that's going to be cheap and easy, and dedicate all of our time, resources, funds for the bigger game on the Nintendo Switch, and that would be Luigi's Mansion 3 in order to make it in 2019. At least that's my thought process on there. If they decided to make a Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo Switch, a remake of the original GameCube game, then Luigi's Mansion 3 would have taken longer to come out, because you're going to need a bigger team, you're going to need more resources. It's not going to be the same thing as a cheap sub 360p 3DS version of the game with the engine that's already completely done, whereas you probably have to make a new engine on the Nintendo Switch if you're going to bring that game over. So I think it's better if they just focus on Luigi's Mansion 3, which I mentioned multiple times in videos saying, hey guys, I think that they're really going to be making a Luigi's Mansion for the Switch. It's just a matter of time when they announce it, because Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon did so well on the Nintendo 3DS. Miyamoto actually gave all the development team at Next Level Games signed autograph cards and everything. He was extremely happy with what they did with Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo 3DS. So I did think that they already greenlit the sequel for Luigi's Mansion 3, or the next one in there, and they were just kind of waiting to announce it, and we did get it announced at this past Nintendo Direct, so that's good. But like I've stated before, I'm not the biggest Luigi's Mansion fan out there, but I always play the games because they're interesting and they're kind of unique, and there's not really any other game like it out on like any system. It's one of those unique games that you just don't see a lot, and it's just cool to play them. They're fun to play every now and then. They have their little quirks and issues and things here and there, but overall, they're still fun games to play. So I'll definitely check out Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Nintendo Switch, but it is looking pretty good so far. So what do you guys think about these screenshots here and the announcement of Luigi's Mansion 3? What are you most excited to get into the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, and moving into the next topic here, we have some more information on the Nintendo Switch's NES controllers and how they work, and we got a confirmation to something that I was saying on Twitter, but I wanted to make sure that you guys did know this information. So according to Nintendo, they said that the Nintendo Entertainment Controllers can only be used while detached from the Nintendo Switch system. So these controllers attach to the system just like Nintendo showed in the Direct, but you can't like pick up your Switch and play it like that because that would be awkward. So Nintendo wants to make sure that you know that you can't play it that way, and they only work with NES games. This is something that a lot of people were asking me about, and on Twitter I was like, hey, no, these will only work with the NES games. That's the reason why Nintendo's kind of being really weird with how you buy them and everything like that, because they don't want people to think that these controllers work with all the different games, because they don't. There's not enough face buttons on there to play like Legend of Zelda or to play something like Xenoblade Chronicles where you need all of the face buttons and all that. There's not enough, so they don't want people thinking that you can use these controllers to play all the different games. But I just wish it was handled a little bit better, but that's the reason why it does seem like it. And Nintendo does say that the NES Nintendo Switch Online games, that you can only use those controllers for that, but they can be charged by attaching them on there. So that's the main reason why you even attach them, is to charge them, and these are wireless controllers on there. It is a little bit pricey for these controllers. They are $60, so 30 bucks a piece, but they're completely wireless, and like I stated there, they have the original NES design. So really this seems to me like a collector's type of deal, because you can use the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons or you can use the Nintendo Switch Pro controller to play the NES games. You do not need these controllers in order to play NES games on your Nintendo Switch. That's also another thing that I want to make sure that people do know. These are just options out there, but like I said, there are multiple different restrictions and kind of weird things going on. It's only like one per household or one per Nintendo Online account. It's only for Nintendo Switch Online users, people who are subscribed to the service. So there's quite a bit of different things here. So gifting, I know some people were talking about that. That's not really going to be an option too much, or you just have to give the people the money, whoever wants the controllers. But like I stated here, these controllers only work with the NES games that you buy online with the subscription service, or not even that you buy, that you get with your subscription service. So you won't be able to use them with other classic games, like let's say Sega Ages. I don't think you're going to be able to use them for that, or like the Neo Geo games or other titles that are going to be coming over. It's only for these NES games. So it does seem like it's more of a limited type of thing, collectors, for people out there. But once again, this does kind of confirm that we're going to be getting Super Nintendo and other stuff, because we knew about these controllers, right? Like there were so many videos after the data mine saying that Nintendo's probably going to be releasing controllers like NES controllers and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. So based on this actually happening, we do know that there's going to be other systems and other stuff as well. So it's just interesting to finally see them and kind of see what Nintendo's going around with it. But hey, it is what it is. You can buy them or not. So what do you guys think about these controllers? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, I wanted to discuss something that I talked about a little bit more in my last video about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country, and how the game uses a little bit of a different engine, and I wasn't sure if that was more of like a translation error or if there was just something wrong with that. But now we have just a little bit more information. This time Nintendo everything kind of translated everything out on top of what perfectly Nintendo did, and the game Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country definitely uses a new engine for rendering. So let's get into those comments about what Takahashi-san had to say on the matter. So he says, "Hello everybody, this is Tetsuya Takahashi from Monolith Soft. After a long wait, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC expansion Torna The Golden Country launched today. While this expansion is primarily an additional scenario added to the game's main story, it also brings with it a considerable number of revisions and changes. First, let's talk about some things a bit more technical in nature. In Torna The Golden Country, we're using a new engine to render the game. While we're still in the transitional period of refining it for use in future games, the differences are still slightly noticeable. You may find that everything looks prettier and neater than in the main game. The most noticeable difference is in Torna's grass. It doesn't really have anything to do with what makes the game fun, but by all means, please compare it with the grass you can find on Gourmet." Now they talked about the UI and other things, tips and everything like that, and if you've watched any of my coverage on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country, or even my Let's Play, they have done a much better job at explaining the system. There are quests that explain the system more to where you can do blade combos, driver combos, get rewards for that. It's easier, it's not as confusing with the UI. It just has a 1, 2, and 3. You can link any number of affinities or elements in order to make a blade combo, but if you link the actual ones from what they did in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you get the really cool finishing and added damage as well. So they've made a number of improvements to this one, but yes, this is going to be the new engine that they're going to be using for their next games, and it does look a lot better. Like I've stated before, the grass looks better, the detail on the characters, the anime aesthetics, everything is much sharper and cleaner. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country is a much better running game than Xenoblade Chronicles 2 overall. Overall, it's much better running, but it is smaller in scale. But you can tell that they did make a number of refinements to the engine and the system. The storytelling and pacing is also a lot better. There's just so many better things about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country. I'm excited to see what they do. I really want a Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I know they're probably working on some type of new or different type of game, but I would love to see a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and them take all the refinements and balances and things that they did in this one and then apply that to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Wow, I think that would be something to really get excited about, but we'll see what they're doing. Maybe they're doing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, who knows at this point. So we'll have to wait to see what Monolith Soft reveals. Maybe they'll talk about it at the end of the year, maybe they'll talk about it in a Nintendo Direct. I think that's when we'll really get to see the first look at it, is like in a January or February or whenever they do their first Nintendo Direct of the year next year, or maybe even E3 they'll show it off. So we'll have to wait. But we did get Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We got the reveal of that at the January event last year. So maybe we'll get something in early 2019. So what do you guys think about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna The Golden Country on the new engine, the rendering and everything, on top of everything else that we discussed in this video? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.